Blair Thomas and Magic. Subscribe now, watch us live lavish. We got Brooks, now we live and we bringing major vibes. Obsidian Alliance, we taking off flying high. Follow us now.
Everybody, it's your man Magic here. And heroes turn villains, villains turn heroes. Things always change from day to day, time to time, company to company. And today on the Obsidian Alliance, which once again, we appreciate your support. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Me and the Blair Thomas, we're going to be discussing.
I'm going to need some more emphasis on that. It's the Blair Thomas.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Anyway. So today, me, Magic, and the Blair Thomas will be discussing our favorite hero turned villain and then our favorite villain turned hero. Of course, once again, the criteria is that they had to be a hero full-fledged and then turn into a villain. And then the other criteria, of course, is they had to be a villain, then turned hero, or even anti-hero if they're not all the way there yet. So I'm going to start off with Mr. Thomas. Who is your favorite hero turned villain and why?
I'm going to go for those who don't know, the game Prototype had an antagonist by the name of Alex Mercer, who was working on a virus for I believe it was for the military. This virus was able to consume and download like the memories of the person it consumed and also take that shape. So it was a shape-shifting virus. It gave the person armor, weapons, invulnerability, and accelerated healing. You could grow limbs back, all different types of things. You guys haven't played the Prototype games. They're a very good game to play, very entertaining, gives you all different types of power sets and whatnot. And so it started out, Alex Mercer was working on the Mercer virus. They cornered him in a train station, and for whatever reason, I guess, fear of them trying to take the evidence away, he released the virus at Grand Station in New York. The virus then mixed with his blood when they shot him on site, and he became, I guess, like the living dead almost, because for all intents and purposes, he was pumped full of holes. He was on the table. They were about to do the autopsy, and he came back to life. And of course, through the game, by consuming more and more people, he came to realize that he had, superhuman abilities. He was able to shapeshift his arms into hammers, swords, claws, all type of thing. But like all great things, when he realized how unstoppable he was, he said, well, for the Prototype 2, he decided, well, why don't I share my greatness with the world? He realized that by isolating certain genes in people, he could activate the virus in them as well, pass it on, and they are able to have superhuman abilities. And he created like this underground army of people that were in the military, the government, the police force, and he started taking over the city, destroying it, just infecting random people, and whoever he thought needed to go, he would kill them. And so the transition from hero to anti-hero villain, after he saved New York in the first game, he decided to pretty much enslave it. I am the hive mind. I am the one who started all this. I'm the one in control. And that's what ultimately led to his downfall, because the brother James Heller came through and showed him what that black power is all about. And I think his ideology, and we talked about villain ideology, hint, hint, go ahead and check out that video. His ideology was actually kind of similar to the other villains. Humanity cannot be trusted with its own survival, so they need to be forced to evolve, and I can force them to evolve. Years of evolution with this genetic virus, and he almost got away with it too, because his plan was to spread the virus worldwide using canisters and serums and syringes, and pretty much damn near all of New York was pretty much infected until James Heller stopped him. But it comes from a place of hurt. He lost his mother and father at a young age. He only had one sister, wasn't really close, socially awkward. He had a wife, but they were at odds from work. Very hardworking man. And I guess he just found out what they were trying to do. The government was trying to weaponize the virus anyway. It wasn't like they were using it to help humanity. They were actually trying to cover up a mistake they had made, because the virus prior to that, they had tried to make in the 70s and 80s in the game, and that wiped out an entire town. So they pretty much accelerated the evolution of the virus, and that's how the MRSA virus came about. So, stopping the evil government organizations and stopping the SWAT teams and Gentech and Black Watch from trying to take over the city and mutate people. He went from protecting people from that to doing it himself, and was just like, well, if it makes them better, if it makes them more indestructible, makes them immune to gunfire and all this other stuff, my race of superhumans will take over the world, and human race will be secured. So the lesson he had to learn was, you got to watch who you give powers to, because James Heller said, nah, bring that ass here, because you messed with the wrong one. You gave the wrong one powers, and ultimately it led to his death and his consumption. Yeah.
Those who you live by the sword and you die by the sword.
Die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become
the villain.
Mr. Magic, what about you, man? Who's your favorite hero turned villain?
Let me know if you heard this before. In a galaxy far, far away, you're a little boy on Tatooine named Anakin Skywalker. You run into what it seemed like a warrior monk who tells you, after checking your midichlorian count, that you are indeed the chosen one. Chaos and hilarity ensues. That, of course, if you didn't get by that, my favorite hero turned villain is Anakin Skywalker turning into Darth Vader, one of the best tragic hero stories in fiction. Of course, once again, Anakin Skywalker chosen as the chosen one by Qui-Gon Jinn after taking his midichlorian count, being the highest that has ever been on record, even higher than Yoda's. Of course, who was the Grand Master of the Jedi Order at the time, came into the Jedi Order at 9 years old, was actually initially rejected at first because the Jedi somehow love children. More so on the morality of that we can discuss in a later Star Wars video, but of course he had to be accepted because during the Phantom Menace, Darth Maul, of course, kills Qui-Gon Jinn, and his final wishes was for Obi-Wan to train the boy. So he gets into the Jedi Order, becomes the hero of the Republic. Brash, arrogant, but very loving, compassionate, cared about his friends deeply, cared about his friends in principle over structure, and loved very, very hard. And that love and passion and caring deeply for his friends ended up being a part of his downfall. Now, of course, blame the Jedi Council. I blame the Jedi Council because, and it shows, once again, my evidence is shown in the Clone Wars TV show. If you would have shown Anakin trust and love as a child and a teenager, he wouldn't have been the man that was able to be easily manipulated by Palpatine in his adult years. Because Anakin's life was riddled with confusion, doubt, mistrust, and strife. As Ahsoka said in the episode before Order 66, we were soldiers as children. these Padawan and these Jedi Knights, before they became masters, most of them were kids, teenagers. So they seen war on a scale no child should ever see war, dealing with the clones. So, and like I said, he was one of the heroes of the Republic, but as Darth Vader, as that Imperial March music hits, was known as the scariest person in the galaxy. When he was first introduced as the right-hand man of Emperor Palpatine, there was some mumblings among the generals of that he shouldn't be trusted because he's not out on there. And Palpatine said, okay, Vader, introduce yourself. Vader lifted one of them up and he dropped dead. And that shut everyone up. Any questions? Nah, we good. You damn well better be.
Tell them about the decapitation of those 7 officers who tried to have him killed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they didn't like Lord Lord Vader was not liked in the early development, in the early stages of the Empire, because he was just this tall, dark figure from, as said in episode 4, this ancient religion that they mistrusted. But they learned soon and very, very fast. Vader is worse than Palpatine in some cases. You would rather deal with Palpatine because Palpatine understands business. Palpatine understands strategy. He's not one to trifle with if you get him to that point. But Palpatine has had to tell Vader, bruh, I can't run the Empire if I don't have soldiers or captains or admirals or people to help run it. You can't just keep killing everybody because they don't do stuff your way. So Palpatine has had to put him on a leash by working with certain people. That's how ruthless Anakin was. But
especially when he finds your lack of faith disturbing.
That part. That part is he, and the reason why I like him so much is because it's really honestly because, as I've told Blair before, I was not a Star Wars fan. I was not. The extreme cos. This was during this would be called during my nigga sports phase when I was a nigga, and in order to be a nigga, you had to only like fighting games and sports games. You couldn't like anything that was nerdy or anything like that, or you
Ball Z.
Oh yeah, some anime was allowed, but it was only really like the mainstream, like Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, things of that nature, things that had a lot of action for niggas to enjoy. So you couldn't love the nuance of certain things. But later on, when I started to actually sit down and watch Star Wars, immediately captivated by Anakin. Which is why I'm glad Hayden Christensen is back in the Kenobi, in the Kenobi series. Our generation is what brought Hayden Christensen back, not the older generation. The older generation destroyed Jake Lloyd, who was the younger Anakin, and pretty much destroyed Jake Lloyd, ostracized Hayden Christensen, and made Obi-Wan not want to come back either. Like that previous generation hated the prequel trilogy, and us, the millennial generation and Gen Z, and there's people that love the sequel trilogy, we are the ones that have brought them back. But I'm getting off track. The reason why, like I said, I love Anakin turning Darth Vader is because he was already good as Anakin. He was, honestly, there was only 2 people. If it wasn't for his arrogance, there was only 2 people above Anakin, and that's Mace and Yoda. So Mace because of his shatter point and his fighting skills, and Yoda just because of his all-around mastery of the Force. Like, there's a reason why, if it wasn't for Yoda having doubted himself, he would have beat Palpatine. He would have. If he didn't have doubt in himself and he was a Jedi just looking to be like, look, I got to end this and I got to end this now, he would have killed Palpatine. It was already proven because he's one of the only people that can redirect Force lightning back into it from his hands into the Force back at him. He's strong enough to be able to get rid of the Imperial Guard. He was handling Palpatine in the Senate chamber. Like,
wait, handle the Imperial Guard, sir. He went like this and they hit the wall. Like handle, like he put them to sleep. He needed a nap.
So, but as Darth Vader, and the one thing that I love about the Disney series is that they are making sure that they are putting emphasis. As much as I hate the Kenobi series, that's the only part I don't. The second fight against Obi-Wan Kenobi was showing him in a weakened state. But other than that, Disney Star Wars has made it perfectly known and perfectly clear. Vader is not one to mess with. From Rogue One and the best scene in live action Star Wars, you can argue with your mama. Them last 5 to 10 minutes of Darth Vader going through that shit. It everyone out. That man, he was blocking lasers with one hand and backhanded. Oh man. And then, of course, in the Star Wars video game, at the end, one of the best entrances in Star Wars video game history, argue with your mama.
You would be wise to surrender.
That man threw a Jedi Master. He flipped a Jedi Master over the head. And they also made it very clear of when Darth Vader takes somebody seriously, he has two hands on the lightsaber. When he is not taking you seriously, when he thinks you are a joke, he will either not pull out his lightsaber, as he did with Reva and Kenobi.
Nah, gave her back one. Like when he took Bo away, he gave her back one. That's the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen.
My man was doing karate moves with the Force. He was like, he moved, and pushed her back. Yeah. But yeah, Anakin Skywalker turned even more. And I love the fact of they opened up Darth Vader's story more to where they show how tragic of a hero Darth Vader actually was in the comics. Go read, I will put on here, go read the Vader comics, and I will put on here as well where they are in the timeline. You need to read those comics. Those are some of the best comics that Star Wars has put out in a long time. But enough about me gushing over a villain. Speaking of villains, who is your favorite villain turned hero?
Yes. Mr. Magic, I would appreciate if you do the same thing for this one, because the No comic books, that's not my favorite villain turned hero, but it has to do with No. And for those who read Marvel comics, you know who I'm about to talk about. It's Venom. I actually love the symbiote runs. I love how they introduced Carnage in the comic books. I love how they just have him whooping Spider-Man's ass. It's such a pleasure to see. And for all you Spider-Man fanboys, I'm glad he got his ass whooped. He deserved it. Every ass whooping Venom ever handed out to him, he deserved. Anyway, we were talking about man of the hour, Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock, he was a reporter, correct?
He was.
Right.
Jock turned reporter.
Right. And lifting weights a lot. Now correct me if I'm wrong, sir. How it went was Eddie printed out a paper about who a certain murderer was, and then Spider-Man reconfirmed who it actually was.
That is correct. He pretty much cost him he pretty much cost him his credibility as a journalist.
Right. And then on that same day, his father died and told him he never loved him.
Pretty much.
And
It's almost, if you've seen Spider-Man 3, it's almost a 1-for-1, except in certain instances.
yeah, and then his wife left him, or girl left him too.
He lost a lot. I will
Right.
post it here when he turned in.
Right. So at that point, just so happened that Spider-Man was also shedding the Venom symbiote from him. And the hatred that the symbiote shared for Spider-Man, he could sense in Eddie. So they attached to one another and became Venom. So that's the origin story. But villain turned hero, I say that because in the No Run, the new No comic books they just came out with, my boy Venom, yeah. Not only did he achieve godhood, but didn't he absorb No, right?
More or less.
Right. So now he can communicate with all symbiotes on a hive mind level across the universe. Then during the fight he fused with Captain Universe, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, and then turned Thor's hammer and the Silver Surfer's board into a cosmic battle axe. Listen.
Yeah, Venom by the end of the King in Black series, which I will also post on here. Hey. Now, mind you, Silver Surfer is one of the most powerful people in the Marvel Comics landscape. And not doing anything to know, in a sense. But when it came to Venom, he got the Enigma Force, Captain Universe. Like I said, Thor's head. Oh, yeah, yeah.
My man came in with an arsenal full of cosmic weaponry. Let's just put it that way. Venom was not playing.
Yeah, he became Venom God.
Yeah, God Venom or whatever. Venom in Black.
Yeah, he's now the King in Black.
Right. So with that being said, I like him as a character because you can see the evolution. Venom, even as just a symbiote, being rejected by not only Deadpool but Spider-Man too. A lot of people don't know that Deadpool was the first person to hold the symbiote, the Venom symbiote. But yeah, I like the fact that through various comic books, even when Toxin was introduced, all of the Venom's children or Anti-Venom was introduced.
My favorite Venom, Flash Thompson.
Right. And then of course the boy in Big Red, Carnage, my boy. You see the conflict within him to like, it's like almost self-preservation, but also he understands that his children are dangerous and he can't have them running amok in his city. I find it hilarious that he has to ask for Spider-Man's help a lot and he can't stand him. I find that very funny.
Well, it's more so of a scorned lover because Venom will always choose Spider-Man first. If it ever came down to it between Eddie Brock, he's learned to love Eddie Brock, but if it came down to who he actually wants to choose, it's a scorned lover. He's going to choose Spider-Man. because Spider-Man is the first, because Spider-Man is the one that left the biggest impression on, even though he was in the black suit and it was a lot more ruthless because that beat down he put on Kingpin.
Listen, for real though. That's when I like Spider-Man, when he had the black suit on. I said, okay,
yeah. No, that's when Parker got on the black suit, or when Parker ain't smiling or joking, it's yeah. It's a done data.
Right. And also I like their dynamic too, the Spider-Man and the Venom symbiote, their love-hate relationship. But to evolve as a character so much where you understand that the villain life kind of isn't all it's cracked up to be. You know, you realize what you've done, and it's more so Eddie than Venom, but and Venom still kind of shares his view sometimes. It's just realizing how much pain and hurt you've caused, and of course, with Eddie Brock eventually having a son, um, you see how life impacts even the things that you wouldn't think would have a conscience, like an alien black goop that is sentient, but it understands, like, wow, like, look how far I've come. Came here to Earth. I was on Deadpool's crazy ass. Then I went to Spider-Man, who I really flourished on. And by the way, Venom's attached to a lot more than just Deadpool, Spider-Man, and Eddie Brock. He's been on quite a few other people.
And been in space.
Yeah, he went through the Guardians of the Galaxy, didn't he?
With Flash Thompson. Yep.
Oh, so being attached to all those different people, learning the different things and understanding who you are, instead of always molding yourself to who you're on, rather, it's almost like poetic that, you know, the god of who you're supposed to be, the symbiotes, comes to Earth, messing everything up, destroying everything, almost turns it into complete darkness. And the person that we've been seeing cause so much havoc and mayhem for Spider-Man and other heroes is the one who saves the day. It not only saves the day, saves the universe, really.
Yep. Doesn't matter where you start. It matters about the journey and where you end.
All right. And even Eddie grows as a person, because there's a couple times he didn't have Venom at all. And he had to learn to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think when villains evolve, I think a lot of us tend to think that means they're going to stay bad, but no. Evolution means you can either get worse or get better. And as y'all can see, being a hero looks pretty good on my boy. Because listen, I'm gonna keep talking about that cosmic battle axe. My man played polymerization on his last turn.
Oh my god!
Activated my spell card, polymerization.
Oh man!
And, I also I think Venom all around, the symbiotes all together, they're just a great group of characters. I like them all pretty much. I really don't have one that I don't like. So yeah, I think Venom is a prime example of villain / vigilante anti-hero turned hero. And now he's out here saving the universe, and anytime there's a bad symbiote, he's just absorbing it or telling it to calm down. And now come to Eddie's son, and he's agreed to be with Eddie's son eventually, because of course Eddie Brock is getting a bit older. So, you know, it's time for the new generation to come, and I am excited to see what they do with Eddie's son in Venom.
Well, speaking of a character that has had a similar metamorphosis from villain, anti-villain, anti-hero, almost heroes. She's almost there. Not full-fledged yet. I am talking about the Harleen Quinzel. Harley Quinn.
I knew that was coming.
Of course. One of my favorite characters in DC Comics. Of course, we all know her story. She started out in the Batman the Animated Series as the henchman of the Joker. Ended up being the love of the Joker.
Yeah, please, the quotations, please, ladies.
Love
please
of the
stop
Joker.
saying that you want the Joker and Harley Quinn relationship. You don't want that.
Yeah, no, that's Stockholm syndrome and falling in love, turning business into pleasure in the bad way.
Grade A toxic is what you want to call it nowadays.
Yes, toxic, very, very toxic. But of course, she started out in the animated series, came into the comic books because of her popularity, ended up being and still is one of the most popular characters that DC Comics has ever created in the short span of her being here. In fact, coming up soon is actually her 30th anniversary. She has been in DC Comics in publication now I think coming up in the next 1 to 2 months. For now, officially 30 years. Man, how time. I'm getting old. But no. Of course, as we know, she started out as a henchman of the Joker, pretty much the right-hand man of the Joker, did various atrocities, from blowing up buildings, killing people, killing children. Being with the Joker means that you have to have some kind of something up here to be able to not only deal with the man, fall in love with the man. So she's done some crazy stuff in a while. She's, of course, but due to having a good social circle around her, being Poison Ivy, her on again, off again, fiance, wife, girlfriend, Poison Ivy, was able to help her see beyond the light, see beyond the laughs and comedy of the Joker. And now they, of course, are now in one of the best natural friendships turn relationships in comics. If there was ever a way for the LGBTQIA plus community to learn how to actually write these actual characters and have believable relationships, they should look no further than the friendship turned relationship of Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn. But I digress. Being the villain that she was, of course, she ended up in Belle Reve. And dealing in Belle Reve means that you're dealing with Amanda Waller, aka The Wall. And with that means that you're going to be on the Suicide Squad. And being on the Suicide Squad really is the starting point for her actually going from thinking to just do this to get off a lighter sentence and trying to escape to actually being like, I actually like this hero thing a little bit. I actually like being the hero and doing this heroic stuff. And now, granted, she not gonna hesitate to swing that mallet on you and, and hit your head out, hit your brain out your head.
that golden 4-5 don't play either.
Fact. She's not afraid to use it. But she actually started to turn to a hero. And one of my favorite comic series of there is her Little Black Book, to where she has a team up with Wonder Woman, Green Lantern. One of my favorites, her friendship with Power Girl. Like, I would say, as far as a villain turned hero, she has one of the best turnabouts in fiction. Because it literally goes from her being deep in Stockholm Syndrome with the Joker to her being her own woman. She's strong, single, independent. Well, she's not even independent, really, because she has a girlfriend and a good support system in Poison Ivy. She's able to do her thing most of the time. She's a strong woman. She's been the protector between chaos and order. She's been enhanced by apocalyptic weaponry. Yes, apocalyptic, meaning dark side's weaponry, and has been able to be supercharged by their weaponry to be able to take on Granny Goodness, Big Barter, and the rest. So, I will post the best Harley Quinn stories for you to read. But no, she is a prime example of something that's been, because the whole Joker Harley Quinn story came to a head pretty much in New 52, when y'all made Joker y'all didn't even make Joker funny. Y'all just made him evil. Like, y'all, and it was just like, Harley, why the hell are you still here?
Isn't that when he cut off his
face
and started wearing his face skin as a mask?
Yeah.
See.
Yeah, like that was. Now, luckily, of course, that's when they started to do Turning Point. But yeah, Joker was starting to get darker and darker, and it stopped being funny. And it was just like,
was he ever really funny though? Like, was it funny?
He had his moments. Now, I'm not going to go into the darker moments of what Joker has done, because that list is long. The only people that have more of a body count than the Joker is gods. Like actual deities are the only people that have a longer body count than the Joker when it comes to deaths. That should tell you something about the Joker. But anyway, back to Harley Quinn. Like I said, she's one of the best people that has a hero face turn in all the comics. I say pretty much would be one of the top 10 in fiction, but that's just me. Maybe I'm biased. But yeah, so Harley Quinn as villain turned hero, Anakin Skywalker, hero turned villain for the Blair Thomas. It is Alex Mercer for the hero turned villain. And then for the villain turned hero, it would be Venom.
The new King in Black.
Yes, the new King in Black. So once again, I will actually make sure I actually post it. I've said in the video that I posted stuff, but here now I will post all of the stuff that you would need to read for the best Venom stories. Eddie Brock in particular, since that is his favorite. I will post Agent Venom or Venom when he's with the Guardians of the Galaxy for Flash Thompson. And for me, I will post the best Harleen Quinzel or Harley Quinn stories. And that has been this episode of Face Turns, Face Heel Turns, and Heel Face Turns. This has been the Blair Thomas. I am Magic. This has been the Obsidian Alliance. And if you need guidance, as always, come seek the Alliance. And next video is going to be interesting because Q will be back. And we are going to be doing who is the worst and best Hokage. So stay tuned for that and have a good day. Peace.